Hello, and welcome back. You've made it this far, so why not continue to keep going? I'm still doing the dark thing with the flashlights. This must mean I or you are marked for paranormal activity. The marked ones. uh, anyway, this one's on Max. It has audio description, and this is the fifth film in the Paranormal Activity franchise. Um, this is where I don't know. I feel like the franchise went off the rails already. Really, the only sequel going into watching the Paranormal Activity franchise, I was really only like, why there can only be one film sequel concept stupid. I liked the second film more than I thought I would. It still felt like they were making an active attempt at finding actors who felt like they were in a found footage movie. That hasn't happened in the last couple movies. Every single film after this has felt filmed. This one is dumb. This one is like, why is he running around with a fucking camera? You know, when you are actually, if you're that scared for your life, you're not trying to film shit. You're not like, I might die, but I'm gonna keep filming. Like his commitment to the art of film is a little bit Martin Scorsese would have dropped the camera by now. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, so a lot of times it works because the camera's like set up somewhere and then you see like camera angles because like the camera's on a tripod or they put the laptop down, something. This dude has to actually actively carry the camera around with him. So what is Paranormal Activity the Marked One's about? And was the audio description any good? That's why you're here. Well, it feels like a hard reboot because for the first time, you're like, there's no way they're gonna tie this back in, right? Because they keep tying this back into the first film. They keep being like, well, these are all tied back to Katie from the first film. Yay. That's what we keep doing. So we start off in I don't want to say like like I don't know, in a neighborhood, in a city neighborhood. I forgot is this a city? Are we attached to a city? I didn't even catch that. That's why I'm sitting there. I'm like, where the fuck are we? We're in a city, noticeably, like not suburban, which like every other film has been like suburban. This one is more inner city life. Um, and the cast is basically entirely Latinx. So that's a change. They added diversity to the franchise. I know people out there are like, it's woke. What? What? Yes. You could call this. You could just call this a film, actually, if you want. That word means nothing anymore. The word you like to use. Anyway, yeah, so it's predominantly Latinx cast, if not entirely Latinx cast. I don't know. I think there was a cop in there somewhere. Maybe he wasn't, but there's a group of friends, and they have shenanigans, and they just kind of do shenanigans. There's like a ghostly presence, and they communicate with it, and it's there. And there's the horrible thing that happens at their, I want to say, apartment complex, where a crime happens, and maybe it was tied to something paranormal. Maybe some paranormal activity happened. We don't know. Or maybe I just don't want to spoil it for you. But eventually this film works its way through where it shows people sort of possessed, and it's a little bit more obvious about the possession, especially the audio description is, with like their eyes being like blacked out. And then it just goes off the wall, like off the rails. Like the last 10 to 15 minutes of this film are just like, what are we doing? Where are we going? What is this? Although there was like one character, and I don't even know what happened to him because I didn't catch it because we started following another character, but like Arturo, I think it was, walks in. Dude's got a shotgun. He is like fucking ready, man. He's the most ready anybody has ever been in a paranormal activity film. He's like, if I'm going in there, I am armed. I'm gonna fucking, and he blasts some people, and I was like, like that was, I was like, this is my favorite moment in the paranormal. He's just shooting people. He's just like, I don't care if you're possessed. I don't care if you're a ghost. I'm gonna shoot you. Like, I got it. We got this. Like, and I was like, well, if you're gonna do it, do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna make another paranormal activity film, you might as well make it different from everything else. So the fact that that dude walked in prepared, uh, I was very excited. I was like, yes, this is how we do it. But then I feel like we end up following a different guy um, later on, the one that actually has the camera. So I don't know what happened to the friend. I totally missed that. The audio description here is spotty, but it's good when it's there. But the problem is that they love to talk in this film. So sometimes it's a group of friends. So there are more characters here, and they end up like shouting back and forth to each other. So you'll end up missing things. And that's kind of what I don't like, because we would need catch-up audio description, or we would need really revealing super far in advance audio description a lot of times. But there were times when I definitely felt like I didn't know what was going on, but also at the same time, I was recognizing there's nowhere to put audio description because these two will not shut up. That's the problem when you get best friends in there and they feel like they want to overreact and commentate on, that's not a word. Subscribe for noun words. When they want to talk over things about the things they're seeing that we're also seeing. And like, oh man, did you see that? Oh my God, what just happened? I don't know. Did you see it? When she came in, she looked like it fell out of that. I don't even know what's happening. Oh my God. And you're like, well, guys, can you shut up for a second so I can get audio description? This film just doesn't really lend itself to great audio description, so it's not really a fault of the audio description company. I absolve them. Because when there was opportunity for audio description, I thought the audio description was great. And I'll tell you, this one has sort of like a moment towards the end where it's like it could spoil something for you. And I picked up where it was going. I did. And so I was like, why aren't we using names? And then I was like, well, maybe because for some people, maybe they wouldn't recognize right away. And I feel like it ties in and the movie ends. And then you pick up where it's going, even though it's dumb. And you're like, was that the whole point of the movie? I kind of feel like Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, was written from the ending. And then like somebody came up with the ending. They're like, oh damn, we've done 4 Paranormal Activity movies. How do we do this? How do we do another one? We can't just keep bringing Katie back. And it's like, but what if we could? And then they're like, I don't understand. And they're like, pray tell, let me tell you. So then they tell you this special way that they would like to tie this film into the franchise. And then they're like, okay, so how do we make a movie? And they're like, well, basically, it doesn't really matter what the movie is, because all we need is to get to this one point in the ending. So let's just create characters who feel like they're nothing like anything else in the rest of the franchise, and eventually get one of them to that point so that we can have this cool ending and people will be like, wow, that I didn't see that coming. That twist was amazing. It wasn't. I kind of hate the ending to this film. I do. I was like, oh, this film's doing a pretty decent job of being paranormal on its own. It doesn't feel like it's found footage, but you know, whatever. Especially towards like the end, if they had just like that last like 2 minutes of the film, if we had just not done that, I thought we were kind of in a good place. We were sort of in this like really creepy house, and I was like, well, this is good for Halloween Horror Nights. Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. Like I could see sort of like you know, we're doing something here. But then they had to do it. And at first I thought it was going to be like more than that. I thought we were going to get more than that, but no, it just ends. Um, so it'll answer some questions that maybe if you were watching the first film and you were like, so what was that? And you'd be like, oh, that's what that was. Okay. Um, that's the best way I can say this without spoilers, is that you just be like, oh, all right. Thank you. I didn't ever really find myself asking that question, but I I have an answer now. I guess that's why we needed to make this film. Um, Acting is fine. The thing that they do with the Simon Says is interesting. It's an interesting way to communicate with the dead. I love that we didn't like go into any sort of like well, this, Latinx population is stereotypically this is how they do it type of thing. It's like, no, it's just a Simon Says thing that they use, like one of those old like beep boop beep boop, red, green, blue, yellow, and you had to hit the right ones in the right order. Somehow they use that to commune with the dead. I don't understand, but it was a cool prop. And there are some times where this film goes a little too hard into being a film, and like I said, like the last part of the film when he has to actually run around with a camera and he's trying to figure out like how to like do things with like his free hand. I'm like, just put the camera down, man. Just at a certain point, like I lose believability because the guy's like clearly in a point where he's like, I'm gonna die. But he's still carrying the damn camera around and he's still like filming everything. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I understand like from the perspective, but I'm like, you need both your hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to be able to get out of situations. You need to be able to leave the fucking camera. I know you can't because the film requires you to, but that's on the filmmakers to figure out how you should have a camera. But there are times where he's trying to manage like this camera and is like in his near death experience and he's having, and it's just like pissing me off. So yeah, I have some mixed feelings on this. But then again, I had mixed feelings on Paranormal 3 and 4. So I don't think this is necessarily worse. This definitely has some stuff in it that is unique to this film that they hadn't done before that I felt like worked. But I think it kind of goes off the rails a little bit. I'm not going to hate on this movie nearly as much as some other people have. The marked ones are like, oh, I think it was like a January release, so everybody was like, oh God, when it first came out. But I don't think it's like that bad. I just, I'll tell you, it was starting to look downhill, and then when that dude walked in with the shotgun, I was like, oh my God, best character choice ever in this franchise. Somebody's finally doing something. I hate when people keep walking around with like nothing. Like they're not prepared for anything. They're just like, hello? Is there anything? Is there any like they got nothing on them. Like they're not ready for anything at all. Um but this film does go a little bit too hard and does seem very, very filmed. So I'm gonna give Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, a C plus. We're gonna go slightly positive on this. I think I liked it more than 3 and 4, maybe a little bit, but not as good as 1 and 2. Yeah, it definitely goes hard a little bit, but it had to pull that shit at the end. It just had to do it. It was like, look at what we can do. Look at what we came up with, guys. What you came up with is stupid. So anyway, then again, I am sitting here and doing flashlight, old school like campfire, spooky stories, but not with a fire. Maybe next year I'll set something on fire. Hope you enjoyed this. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.